All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachakodash, double honor, smother apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and salutation to the hopeful members of the elect, the Bacharium of the house of David, that's been preordained, predestined to get delivered in these last times, and to be the ruling, governing body of the nation, Yasha'Allah, and the whole world. And I want to go into these flock cameras. And this is how Esau wants to establish his surveillance. I mean, it's already mass surveillance, okay, with these cameras, Big Brother. But this is like on a whole nother level with these flock cameras. So without further ado, I'm gonna play this video, and people are cutting them down because again, it's an invasion of privacy. Okay. The worst threat to freedom, flock surveillance cameras. This is from JP Sear Reacts.
Is the biggest thing that Americans are pissed off about right now? Flock surveillance cameras. People all around the country are cutting these things down, and I love it.
This could be a sign of the growing public unease with this type of video surveillance. In two different parts of Houston, the same scene, surveillance cameras lying on the ground.
Laying on the ground, that's the best spot for a surveillance camera. You will be shocked to see how many of these flock surveillance cameras are already in our country. We have a growing public backlash.
Yeah, and I want to get into that actually. I asked Grok what's the conspiracy theories on flock cameras, because you gotta word it a certain type of way to get certain information out. And it says flock cameras from Flock Safety are automatic license plate recognition, ALPR systems, networks of cameras mounted on poles, businesses, neighborhoods, or other locations that scan license plates, capture vehicle images, timestamps, locations, and movement patterns. They're sold to police departments, HOAs, and private entities across the United States, marketed for solving crimes, recovering stolen vehicles, and finding missing people. And this is the beginning of it, right? That's the catch. But sooner or later, it's going to be used to surveil the masses of the people when Esau wants to incorporate his New World Order. Okay? And if you get out of bounds, you do anything, you speak out against his agenda, he can silence you. All right? He's gonna, 24/7 monitor, monitoring the people. Okay? Tracking your every movement. Okay? And if you get out of bounds, they'll cut you off out of society. The social credit system, like in China. You do something that's illegal or you break any of their rules, they cut you out of society for a temporary moment. Okay? Main conspiracy theories and concerns. It says mass surveillance state. Critics argue flock creates a pervasive tracking grid that follows vehicles and by extension people across cities or even nationwide. Data can be queried retroactively for patterns, associations between vehicles, travel habits, etc. Some call it a virtual dragnet, turning public roads into a searchable database of movements. Concerns include data retention, often 30 days or more, sharing with other agencies, and potential for abuse beyond solving crimes, right? Potential for abuse beyond solving crimes. Again, because that's the catch. They make it seem like it's a good thing. All right, but we know that Esau, Edom, particularly the elites, they want to use this technology and incorporate in their New World Order. Okay? Mass surveillance on a whole nother level. tracking your every movement, and it's going to go more into it. Okay. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 8, verse 25. And through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. All right. So he's making it seem like this is a good thing, but really it's a crafty tactic that he's using. Okay, so because sooner or later, when he actually implements his new world order, along with the via the microchip, that these flock cameras are going to be there surveilling the people, who has a chip, who doesn't. Because these flock cameras, again, they don't just capture license plates. All right, they watch people's movements, travel habits. Okay, this is like a camera on a whole nother level. All right, powered by AI. So let's keep going. Ties to agencies, ties to intelligence agencies, DARPA, CIA, total information awareness. One prominent theory links Flock to revived elements of the post 9/11 CIA program, a broad data mining initiative criticized by the ACLU for creating massive surveillance architectures. Theories point to founders' Georgia Tech background tied to defense research, private sector cutouts, bypassing Fourth Amendment restrictions, funding from investors like Andreessen Horowitz, seen as connected to tech intel networks. And these are your technocrats, man. All right. Flock allegedly fulfilling CIA's vision of tracking transaction patterns, example, vehicle movements in a privatized way. It says some claim it's not fully shut down, but rebranded and outsourced. Government deep state control and data misuse. Fears that local control claims are a facade with federal access via fusion centers or backdoors. Incidents like a Flock VP accessing a community center camera feed, full creepy overreach narratives. Recent hypocrisy claims company blocking filming at its office while pushing public surveillance add to distrust. Okay, let's see. All right, let's see. I asked another question. I said, what makes the Flock camera so significant? What's the tech behind it? So Flock cameras from Flock Safety stand out due to their scale, integration, ease of deployment, and ability to create a searchable network surveillance ecosystem rather than isolated point-in-time captures, right? So just think of like a camera, a high-tech camera on a whole nother level, powered by AI. It can, again, track your movements here. It can get back data to whatever entity, private entity, ultimately, the government, on certain people. Okay, he travels. This is his travel habit. He goes this way. He goes to work at this time. Whatever. All right. He usually takes this highway, takes this street down to get to his destination. It says why they're significant. Mass scale nationwide network. Over 80,000 to 100,000 plus cameras deployed across thousands of communities in all 50 states. That's crazy. They scan billions of vehicles per month. Example, 20 billion reported in some contexts, feeding a shared platform. This creates the first large-scale interconnected ALPR system where data from many jurisdictions can be queried nationally, unlike traditional isolated cameras. Crime-solving impact law enforcement credits them with helping solve 800,000 to 1 million cases annually. Okay, but again, they're going to use this to monitor you people. on a whole nother level. Okay. The tech behind it, license plate readers, hardware fixed, often solar powered cameras with cellular connectivity, motion activated, primarily capture rear of vehicles in public view 24/7. No wiring, IT needed for many installs. Core tech, computer vision plus AI machine learning to read license plates accurately, identify vehicle fingerprints, make model, color, plus unique traits like dents, bumper stickers, roof racks, trailers, toolboxes, mismatched paint, temporary tags. It'll catch all the minor details. Data handling captures timestamp, GPS location, images, uploads encrypted to AWS cloud, compares against hot lists, NCIC in real time for alerts, searchable database for past data. Okay, that was about it, and they first came about in 2017. And I remember seeing these up. I was like, well, what is that? And it says a company founded in Atlanta by Georgia Tech alumni Garrett Langley, Paige Todd, Matt Fury. And again, these are your technocrats, okay, who will lead in this new society that Esau wants to establish. All right, so let's go back.
Against them. And the CEO of the company is telling us people that are against these, they're domestic terrorists. Welcome back to the JP Rex channel, my freedom-loving friend. This is where we help spread the light of truth and freedom because truth conquers. Now, here's the truth of it. Surveillance cameras surveil. And if you have surveillance cameras aimed at the masses at all times, you have mass surveillance. Wow. Now, the company's putting these in and the government's doing it, the federal government and local governments, they tell us, nope, that's not what they're for. They are for your protection. Well, there's an alternative.
My piece, Daniel, the book of Daniel 8, verse 25, okay? It says, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand, right? Because Yahushai will come back and demolish this kingdom, man. All right? Via the ICBMs is going to hit America and nuke this place 100%. Let me get that in Job, because he's only going to get so far. Esau Edom with his New World Order, all right? In Job chapter 5, verse 12, he disappointed the devices of the crafty so that their hands cannot perform the enterprise, okay? And what's that scripture where it says he wants to be like the Most High? Because he does. He has his angels on the left-hand side through his technology. He wants to surveil you 24/7, okay? Because on the right-hand side, the Most High has his angels watching everything, spying out the land, okay? You see? And then, we're angels in these physical shells, watching out the land, spying out the land, making a report, being a watchman, okay? But Esau Edom, he wants to use his technology to, again, mass surveil the masses, the people. No privacy. He wants to be like the Most High. KJV. I forgot how it goes. Nah, there was another one. He sitteth on the throne, as if he, roughly paraphrasing it, but I can use this one. Isaiah 14, verse 13. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, and he's done that. 1969, I believe. Let's ask Google real quick. When did America go into space? I believe 1969. Okay. Yeah. America first went into space. Okay. May 5th, 1961, when astronaut Alan Shepard piloted the Mercury spacecraft Freedom 7 on a 15-minute suborbital flight. All right, so 1961. All right. A few months later, America achieved its first orbital spaceflight on February 20th, 1962, when astronaut John Glenn orbited the Earth 3 times abroad the Friendship. Okay. Right, but they try to use the moon landing, which was false. It says the United States Apollo program executed 6 crewed lunar landings between 1969 and 1972. All right, how long did it? So we first went to space in 1961, but they try to say the moon landing was in 1969, which it never happened. That was false. Moon landing date. Okay. Oh wow, that's crazy. How, because today's the 21st, but July 20th, 1969. But again, that was all false, That was created in the Hollywood basement, like the band Red Hot Chili Peppers said. Okay, I just want to know, when did Russia go into space? When did Russia go into space? Yeah, it was a little before. So America was 1961. It says Russia as a Soviet Union entered space on October 4th, 1957, when it successfully launched the first artificial satellite, Sputnik 1. Shortly after, on April 12th, 1961, okay, same year, Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first human to journey into outer space, orbiting Earth aboard the Vostok 1 spacecraft. But they can only go so far. They can't pass the Van Allen belt, a radiation belt. They'll turn into crisp. They'll get fried. Okay, so it's interesting. The first one they launched the artificial satellite, Sputnik 1, but 1961 was the same year America went into orbit, to the outer atmospheres above Earth. Okay, but the moon, no. The moon landing, that was fake. That was false. Okay, so I was reading the scripture. Isaiah. Hold on. Let's get this again. Isaiah chapter 14, verse 13. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. Through satellites and all that. And then that's in his heart, but he's not, again, he's never went past the Van Allen belt. And he will never. Okay. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation and the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. You see, that's his mind. He wants to be like the Most High. Okay? He wants to be like the Most High, and he's trying to do it through the way of his technology. All right? And the ultimate way is that chip. He wants to truly enslave you people on a whole nother level. Okay? So let's go back.
Reality to that we're going to take a look at here. Now, here's the heartwarming news. Every time I go online, I'm seeing new clips, news reports. More and more of these stupid cameras are being cut down. That's a crime. Don't do it. But I love it. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm telling you I love it. And there's been enough public backlash in certain towns that the towns have pressured, like the city councils and the mayors, take the cameras out. I love it. We can make a difference. And I truly believe this mass video surveillance that's framed as, well, this is for your protection, help us catch criminals.
Right.
You'll see actually objectively how that's a load of crap. This is one of the most important issues that we should be focusing on right now. The best way to cure mass surveillance is before it's completely rooted in. Once it's completely rooted in, guess what? We might be screwed and out of luck. Because guess what? To do anything about it, the mass surveillance is going to be reporting you. Why can't I access my bank account? Because we saw you doing something about the mass surveillance. But you weren't calling it well, it's mass surveillance. So we see news clips like this coming up left and right.
Authorities say since July 8th, flock safety cameras in the city of Ashland and Ashland County have been the targets of vandals.
Targets of vandals or targets of patriots? Ask yourself that question. I'll look at this commentary. The truck drivers are now taking down flock cameras in an Ohio town by ramming directly into the poles, and people are starting to do the same. The destruction has reportedly triggered a chain reaction with other drivers following suit, leaving law enforcement scrambling. Fair enough. The artist known as Jess comments, "In a world of bad news, this lifts my spirits." Well done, America. I agree with that. And this is a news report from Houston. This is happening all over the place. Now we'll hear from the Orwellian CEO of this Orwellian flock surveillance company in a second. But first, some more good news.
He wants to use this for his new society that he thinks he's going to incorporate. All right. His new society that he's going to incorporate, you know. But again, it's only going to get so far. Did I get that Job? I don't know if I did or not. Book of Job, chapter 5, verse 12. He disappointed the devices of the crafty so that their hands cannot perform the enterprise. Right. Yahweh Shai is going to dismantle their plans, destroy this man's kingdom. Okay. And a righteous kingdom is going to be set upon earth. But again, Esau will, he's only going to get so far. Okay. And he wants to mass surveil the people to see who has a chip, who doesn't, who's speaking against his agenda, who has a problem with what he's trying to establish. You see? To go after the prophets, Anything you're doing that's contrary to his agenda, he'll know about it. Okay? Again, he wants to be like the Most High. He wants to see what you're doing at all times, 24/7.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's another post. We must demand that every single flock safety camera is taken down. This is a beautiful look, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, just how Orwellian is the name of this? Flock.
See, people are again sick and tired, man. People are taking them out, Yeah, man. People are getting sick and tired. And it's gonna be a civil war out here. All right, civil unrest. That's coming.
Safety. If we put the word safety in our name, do you think the dumb idiots will just believe it's for their safety? Yeah, okay. Another beautiful scene. Must have been a crazy windstorm last night. A real shame to see another camera down. It is such a shame. This is also a heartwarming. Police in North Carolina asked the public to identify two men who recently cut down a brand new flock camera. Reports claim callers are trolling police by flooding the phone lines with tips like Batman and Robin and the Lone Ranger and Tano. So in other words, the public is not helping catch these quote-unquote criminals or patriots, choose your own adventure. The public is protecting them because what's happening, taking down the cameras, that's for the public. Yeah. By the way, this is how surveilled the country has gotten. I'll show you a map in a second, right after we hear from the Orwellian CEO. But these are people who cut down surveillance cameras, and they were caught on surveillance camera doing surveillance camera acts. So it's like they'll probably start putting surveillance cameras in to monitor their surveillance cameras to better catch the criminals slash probably patriots. Now, here's the Orwellian CEO of the company Flock Safety. You'll hear him talk. You're not going to hear honesty out of him. And after you hear this clip from him, I'll show you the community note. He just got owned and nuked in that.
Organizations like the ACLU and the EFF who take an above-board approach to fight for their point of view. And thankfully, we live in a beautifully democratic, capitalistic country where we can fight in court. And I have a lot of respect for those groups because they have reasonable debates and we follow the law.
Sounds reasonable so far.
And then unfortunately there's terroristic organizations like DFLOC. Who's
DFLOC. DFLOC, I'll show you the website. DFLOC.org shows you where the cameras are at. So in a sense, it's surveilling the surveillance state to reveal it, to show you where the cameras are at. And he calls them a terrorist organization. Got it.
primary motivation is chaos.
Chaos. We care about privacy. So what's that mean? Oh, they care about chaos. Okay.
The Antifa than they are anything else.
Just look at that devil. He just looked like he just an Edomite, defiled Edomite. But these are your technocrats, all right? These are going to be the new leaders in this new society that Esau wants to establish.
They're like Antifa. Okay.
And that, I think, is unfortunate because we don't want chaos, or I don't want chaos.
No, we don't want chaos, do we? His word of saying we don't want privacy.
I like law and order. I like a society that has a bedrock of safety.
We like law and order. Really heavy on the order. How much order do we like? Well, we like a nice surveillance state. And the reason, because that brings a lot of order so that we can have like a beautiful dream-like authoritarian experience. That's how much order here at Flock Safety we like.
So for those groups, I think it's just disappointing that they haven't chosen a more constructive mannerism to try to get what they want, which they have a right to have. But that's why we have a democratically elected process, right? Like we're not forcing Flock on anyone.
Yes, you are. That's 100%.
Well, yeah. So, there you have it. Yeah, man. Hey, a house divided. A house divided, man, shall not stand. You got these Americans, they're not with it. Okay, even other Edomites. You see? This surveillance vandalized our Fourth Amendment rights. That's what someone wrote. You see? So, yeah, man. So, I don't want to make this lesson too long. So, hopefully this was edifying. All right, on to the next one. Shalom.